Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for finding our time and joining our webinar. It would be a 1 hour webinar and we would appreciate a two-way communication with everybody. So feel free to share your thoughts and concerns over the chat and we would love to take it forward during the session and the end of the session. Today's webinar will be moderated by Prakhar Gupta. Prakhar Gupta is the Enterprise Pre-Sales Consultant at Bizom and has over 7 years of experience in the CPG space. He excels at solving the data visibility gaps at all nodes in the downstream supply chain with robust distribution processes. Over to Prakhar to take it forward.
Thank you, Meg. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. I would like to thank our panelists today. I'm going to start with Mr. Anand Rathi. Mr. Anand Rathi, thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Anand Rathi is an entrepreneur and the director for Empire Spices and Foods with more than 14 plus years of experience in the food production industry. Directs Empire Spices and Foods, ESFL, headquartered in Nashik, Maharashtra. This is one of the fastest growing FMCG companies, and their renowned brands like Rambandhu and Temptin offer a wide range of culinary delights and condiments, from spices, pickles, snacks to ketchup, sauces, and pastes. I would like to thank you to join Mr. Anand. Very nice to have you here. Thank you for finding the time.
Thank you.
Right. Next, I would like to introduce Mr. Gursimran Singh Vohra. Gursimran sir is the AGM for Sales and Development for the DS Group. He has over 17 years of extensive experience in the food industry and the automotive industry. Gursimran sir is a specialist in planning, strategy, budgeting, analysis, and RTM solutions. And he is a part of the DS Group, which is one of the largest conglomerates in India. I think DS Group needs no introduction. It has a wide variety of products in verticals like food, beverages, mouth fresheners, confectionaries, agri, and many more, right? They're present all over India with more than 2,000 distributors and more than 1,000 sales force in India itself. Very nice to have you here, Gursimran sir. Thank you so much for taking our time.
Thank you, Prakhar, and very good afternoon to everyone.
Right. And to our audience, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope whatever conversations we have today in this webinar are helpful to you. You find some insight in how rural is working in India and what are the opportunities that we can find there, and how the RTM technology today is helping us drive that adoption and visibility. Let's start. All right. So I will start with one question for both Anand sir and Gursimran sir. I think both of you have seen rural visibility and execution emerge out of the shadows of urban, which has been the center of attention for a very long time, right? And that has been the key lever of growth. Almost all large brands scale direct distribution in rural areas to grow faster. What do you think makes rural so attractive, and why do FMCG brands always want to make sure that they crack this formula so that they can be successful overall?
Of course, Prakhar, rural these days is a big need for large FMCG industries, as they have saturated urban market shares. And specifically after COVID, Indian government has spent large on rural infrastructure, like mainly building roads, banking, and digital connectivity. And so it makes rural the new game changer these days. But to me, I evaluate every new thing with the lens of a cost. And we must not forget a huge cost to sales for rural. So, of course, it's emerging a very attractive market for me, or for all FMCG brands, and it will be for the coming days.
What are your views, Anand sir?
So, Prakhar, to add to what Mr. Gursimran ji has mentioned, I think so. Yes, rural has become very much exciting. I mean, major reason being, I mean, we're seeing the kind of infrastructure which is, or all the development which is happening across our country, the kind of connectivity, the kind of roads, and the aspiration level also. I think so. As the consumers, be it an urban consumer or rural consumer, are changing very fast. So the demand for products is there everywhere. And that is one of the very important reasons why rural is seeing a focus from major FMCG players. Normally, what we are seeing is the new age brands which are coming nowadays. They are either focusing, to start with, they are focusing on the metros or on the bigger cities. But eventually, everyone is realizing that India is a country where rural population still prevails over the urban population, and hence everyone is focusing on getting that pie of the business, is what I would say.
That is interesting, right? And I think what you mentioned about infra is very interesting. Another question to that, right? And I want to understand your views on this. Do you think recently, because of the infra, how do you say, overhaul that India has gone through, with in creation of more roads, the rural areas have become available, have become easily accessible, and now it is just more viable for brands to also expand there? Is that one of the reasons that you feel that this rural impact is happening now?
It's definitely one of the reason. We all have been seeing the kind of development or the infra development or the technology development. Think about the kind of internet speeds we used to have like 3 years back and now what we are having. I'm not even talking about 10, 15 years back. So I think so things are changing in everything. What is happening in a very positive way for us as a country, which is good. And because of this infrastructure changes, it's reaching to smaller towns and smaller villages has become easier. And plus the technology development which is happening. I'm sure we'll be talking more about it as we progress. But now it's because of DMS and the SFAs of the world, we are able to track on a retailer, on a distributor. We are able to engage with them better. We are able to understand what is actually happening. We are getting a real-time information. So all this is definitely helping more.
Fair point. What is your view on this, Gursimran sir?
Absolutely. Infrastructure has enabled us to look for this rural area, because earlier going to rural was a big cost to the company, and rural is so much spread into villages, small towns, and population below 50,000. So covering all those small areas was not viable at that moment. But these days, with the digital space, with the e-commerce giants are coming, and there's good road networks and banking systems, which has made many parts of India available to this big FMCGs. And of course, Bizom and these tools, SFA, DMS, have played a very big role in giving us a visibility that which products are acceptable in which part of India and where my core strengths and weaknesses are. So this outlet-wise sales data has helped specifically DS Group. This outlet-wise data at a rural level has given me that which outlet is a wholesale or a self-service outlet or a kirana outlet or a pawn shop, which further assists me to optimize my manpower to get the maximum value out of it and to adjust their beats so well that at least I should get a minimum business of at least 50,000 to 40,000 a month from that particular beat, which makes my manpower viable to go to rural areas.
100%. And I think it is very interesting to understand that no matter what business decisions are being taken, right? Even if it is being, expanding their presence in rural or maybe focusing on urban, I think understanding the cost benefit, right? That analysis is the key, the first thing that you do. So I think it's a very interesting point that Gursimran sir you raised, right? Because having the availability of DMS even at the rural, has helped us here is because we are present at so many places now, right, and distributor places, we know how the business or what is the pulse of the business even though in those areas, right? So for our viewers today, I would love to do something interesting for you guys. What we have is we have shared a form with you, and what we will do with that form is we'll try to get some details on your distributors, right? We'll try to get those details and try to overlay that in our own database. and get to see that maybe most of the distributors that you're working with today are already part of the Bizom network, right? And that makes sense, because then the availability and the adoption of the DMS becomes very high already, right? So please go ahead, click on the link of the form, fill the forms, and we'll get back to you in a day or two to tell you how many of your distributors are actually using our DMS already. All right. So following up on the conversation that we had on the first question, right? I think the perception is that there needs to be an understanding of financial viability, or understanding is that people think that rural expansion is only a play for people with deeper pockets, right? But Anand sir, I think this is the best example that we've seen, that your brand Rambandhu has rural as their biggest strength, right? I think how people approach their rural expansion was completely different for you. You have a very strong presence in rural across almost all the stores, all the rural stores in Maharashtra alone. So that is a phenomenal feat for a brand. And how did you achieve that? And how, like Gursimran sir was mentioning, did technology and Bizom as a partner help you achieve that lower cost to serve and make that availability at sparsely populated areas, and that visibility enable that at a lower rate? How did that happen? Please, can you help us?
So Prakhar, I think so. It's a very valid point that we are very well placed in rural markets, specifically on the western part of our country. Uh, if I give you one of the honest answer, it would be, I mean, the reason is probably sincerity, hard work, and a very dedicated sales team. But yes, I mean, that is, I think, so it's very much required for every business. I think so, yeah, along with all this kind of things, it has been that, we are there in business for a longer period of time. We have been working consciously to increase our presence in rural markets. When we started, we realized that getting share in urban market was difficult, and hence we focused on the rural market. And luckily, to our advantage, we were able to build relationship with the retailers and reach to the consumers accordingly. Um Another, I think, what was your follow-up question? I'm sorry.
So what is the role that technology played here,
The
right, Anand?
technology, yeah. So while growing this, what one thing we realized that earlier when we used to speak with our sales team over here, there, they were not able to give us an accurate number, or they themselves couldn't actually gauge that how well we are placed in the market. We understood that all the retailers are taking our product, but now today we specifically know that out of, let's say, if there are 1 lakh retail outlets where we are present, we can say that probably 80,000 retail outlets are taking my pickle, 74,000 outlets are taking my papad. So like this, I can speak more specific and I can be more accurate that way. The data is really helping us. We are also getting, I mean, so because of the SFA which we're using of Bizom, it is helping us identify that which are the outlets which are not, which are our zero billing outlets. We are focusing on that even in the urban and in the rural areas, and we're trying to reduce those kind of numbers. So getting actionable and accurate data is something which has really helped us with this technology.
Brilliant, right? And I think it's a very straightforward understanding that no matter how much technology does assist you, it is still still an assistance, right? So you saying that having the right mindset, planning, sincerity, hard work, all of that obviously is the basis of everything that becomes a success. But I think the two three things that you mentioned are very interesting to understand, right? Segregation of outlets, and targeting the right SKUs for the right kind of outlets, right? And making sure you're having that filtering maybe every quarter, where you're making sure that you're cutting your losses with the low performing outlets. I think that the secret key that helped Rambandhu get to where they are today.
Oh, exactly. I think so. See, I mean, with the help of technology again, I mean, so when we were early adopter of Salesforce automation, there were a lot of learnings and challenges we had. Today, now I think so, I can definitely say that we have graduated and we are able to use this data in a better way. In sales and in sales FMCG, you get a lot of data. It's very important that you know how you interpret that data and how you utilize it to the need of your business. I mean, And even Gursimran ji mentioned that it is very important that for a business, it's very important that you get maximum ROI out of whatever you are putting in. So that is where this technology is playing a very crucial role. So you're absolutely right. I mean, using this all information, we are able to probably, grow better in rural market.
Thanks for that answer. I think, Gursimran sir, your cable brand, that is an interesting story, right? With DS Group, the rural adoption or availability and visibility was, I think, something that was achieved with cable. So, would you want to talk a little bit about that and how you think, what was the success factors or success parameters for that, and how did the technology help you there?
Uh, see, for DS Spiceco, I'm talking about a spice division. The rural journey began, but it's growing day by day with the reason that I have focused on specific products who are below 5 rupees, 10 rupees, we call them mini masters, the ladis you must have seen. So uh, we are packing our masalas and other straight masalas in those 5 rupees and 10 rupees SKUs. So the point is, my focus started with the uh, smaller SKUs. We call this system as a Grameen network, where I assisted my distributors with around 2% of extra margin so that they can use that money for rural mobile operation. And we have selected specifically those distributors who have other brands. So they can also get the ROI out of it by spreading other brands with my masalas. That's how
Very
we
good.
are eventually growing in this area.
That's very interesting. I think a very interesting point that you brought was about price point, right? And this I
Absolutely.
have experienced with a lot of our customers that I have personally worked with, where one of the confectionery brands that are working with us came to us and they wanted to launch a new SKU in India, which is present all over the world. For them to realize that the price point is something that will have to change for India as a market to adopt that kind of SKU was something that was only understood by data, right? And I think when we talk about technology, having that data of understanding what kind of price point sells the most on what kind of stores in what kind of regions, right? I think that is an interesting thing. So, is that a similar thing that you also experienced, Anand sir? About the price points and about the kind of SKU packaging that Gursimran sir talked about.
So yeah, I think so. Price points are very crucial when it comes to, I mean, specifically rural market in our country. I mean, I always believe that India is an economy of rupees 5 and rupees 10. So if you are able to come up with rupees 5 and rupees 10, you have a good quality, you give good distribution and service and market, there are higher chances of you being successful as an FMCG player. But sometimes, and we have seen instances where, there have been big MNCs who have been priced at 10 rupees earlier and then they tried to make the shift to 12 rupees or 14 rupees and then they had to come back. So it's a very common story which has happened. So it's very important that, launching at a right price point is very important. The consumer in rural market, he is very aware. So he is someone who wants to, I mean, he does not have ample cash left at his disposal, So he wants to buy every day. He earns a little bit and then he spends a little bit. So if he's able to get at a reasonable price point at which it's attractive to him, it definitely helps.
No, of course, and I think specifically for rural, the price elasticity is, I think, the biggest lever, right, for demand, because they are like Gursimran sir said, there are they daily wage workers, right? They are daily wage earners, and every single decision is built and based on what kind of price that it comes with. That's a very interesting point, right? So another question for you, Anand sir, how does a traditional generational spice company like Rambadu make a giant leap in technology? I know for a fact because I've been working in the enterprise space and I know a lot of very huge brands in India and abroad are still at the inception of trying to adopt technology. But I think Rambandhu as a brand has not just adopted technology but has started saying very huge ROI on it. So how did that happen, and how did you drive that execution of tech, and how did you manage the change management? How was the implementation journey for you?
So, Prakhar, I mean, yes, you're right that, we've heard that many businesses at times are, not very much adoptive when it comes to technology. Yes, in recent time, people have got more aware. I think so. It is good that, I mean, we were able to have that vision and we were wanting to understand that how we can get a data better and then leverage on it. Uh, I'll be very true to you. I mean, when we this is how much we will be able to extract from this whole thing, or this is what we'll be getting out of it. But I think so. It's somewhere you need to have that belief and you need to have that want that you want to have an accurate data and actionable data. And once you have that, then it becomes easier. Uh, in our team also, I mean, when we started in the initial days, people were not very sure if the data which they were getting, how accurate it would be. And rather, I mean, even today, even after having DMS implemented in, let's say, probably a 20-25% of my organization or SFA implemented everywhere, I still feel that there are certain gaps where probably, because getting it's a chain. I think so. We have started getting accurate data, but there are still some missing links which are there, but it will definitely happen gradually. I think so. One needs to graduate, one needs to see that, one needs to believe that, if I put in money in this technology, will it help me make my decisions more accurate? And if it is working, then he needs to be persistent with that. And luckily, we have been doing that, and hence we are able to uh, change that, traditional approach and probably adopt this technology in a better manner.
100%. And I think very early on in my career, I understood that change management always will have three levers, right? It is not just people; it is people, processes, and tech, right? So when we talk about software, when we talk about technology, that is only one part of the change. With that, we need to change, the thinking, the kind of ideologies that we have as a brand and as a company, and also people need to believe, like you said, we need to have a vision where you believe that getting the right data is the base to starting to build something that is more structured and more transparent. So Gursimran sir, even for you, I think DS Spiceco is also even though it's huge and has been always at the forefront of technological advancement, it is still a traditional company. How was that change, and how was that process that managed inside the organization when technology became one of the biggest levers of change?
Honestly, Prakhar, technology is the need of an hour. You can't run a 1,000 crore company without a technology. And because with such a high competition in this masala industry specifically, many rural or urban players are coming. Even big company like ITC, Davers are pitching into this masala industry. So without technology, though, it's not possible. You have to have the visibility of the ground level at any cost, where your people are going, what's the stock levels at your distributor, what's your freshness level, because consumer are these days, whenever we buy any food product, we always look after its freshness, how old it is, how much expiry date it's left with. So maintaining those freshness levels, maintaining a variety of range to my consumer level, you need to have a visibility of stocks and what is selling at particular area of the world. So you need technology at any cost. You can't survive in this industry without that, with much visibility.
And
So
yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
Bizom is literally have given us the complete visibility till the level where if my field force officer is taking the order within the 20-meter geofence of that outlet or not, which
That
is
is
I'm
interesting.
pushing it to take order on the shop itself, because
100%.
without going into that particular shop, you can't uh, sell all my new products or give them a visibility or give them a confidence that how big this brand is or how much uh, SKUs or varieties available with us.
100%. And I think it's very interesting because it is in the end about people, right? So if the salesperson is not able to go and foster the relationships with the retailers, even if it's at urban levels or at rural levels, the value of your brand will get diluted, right? They will not understand the effort and the vision that the company has and the brand is trying to pursue, right? So I think that is very interesting. But this change management when it comes to people itself, did you think that it was hard for your salespeople to start doing this, or your distributors to start doing this different kind of ways of
A
working?
lot, a lot. We started Bizom SFA in 2017 early. So we have matured enough, like it's been more than 5 years we are using SFA and DMS, and with lots of what do you say, opposition from the sales team, and a very old sales team. Let's say we got a like 22-year-old catch. Then now this Bizom is implementing a complete group. Retaliation, or what do we say, the opposition was there, but of course, change everybody has to accept, be it natural, be it digital, be it anyone. You have to accept the change. You have to live with it because
Yeah, I think there's a saying that if your leaders are not making you uncomfortable, then they're not leading well enough, right? So I
no,
think
and there's no point of being uncomfortable. And this is giving you a tool. See, come on, yeah. If I'm a new guy, I'm going to an outlet. Okay, I don't know what sorts of material he's buying. But with visibility with the Bizom, it's giving me that if I can see the 10 old bills of that particular outlet, it gives me that confidence here. Okay, this outlet buys this much masalas with me. Okay, this outlet gives me this variety of product. Okay, I can now pitch this product this month to him. So before reaching to an outlet, these kind of data gives you that confidence to speak to that particular shop owner. So it moreover not just control, it assists you with all the tools, with all the schemes, because you can't learn all the schemes at all the categories in one go, which is if it's available on the screen.
100%.
So it's a much better tool to assist you, to help you to gain more and more sales.
I don't know, we call this pre-call dashboard, right? Where, like
Absolutely.
you said, that it is not just about the confidence and the information, but also we feel that once you go talk to the retailer and already know more about their business, that relationship is even
Absolutely.
always better, right? He will feel, or he
And
will
we
they
have this. We have
go ahead.
this, sorry to interrupt, we have this tool is suggested order quantity, which is an AI tool which gives me a suggested order for a particular outlet before reaching it, using old data and using what sorts of SKUs are selling in this particular region, and what like in which particular SKU we are right now focusing in. So SOQ gives us the suggested order quantity for that particular retailer before reaching that outlet.
Right, right,
It
right.
provides a mindset or a confidence to that even a fresher or sales officer to pitch right products to that retailer.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that, Gursimran sir. Another question to both of you, and Anand sir, you can start first. We have heard, and I think you guys are the best people to ask that rural distributors do have challenges when it comes to internet access, right? What we did as a company, we made sure that we made a mobile first platform that can be utilized for the daily tasks of even DMS, right? So do you think, have you enabled that with the distribution partners? Are they also mobile first, or they still are using the web based kind of DMS?
So, Prakhar, I mean, we as an organization, we are right now at a stage where we are first right now focusing on the web-based DMS. But I think so, very soon we will be, wanting to implement mobile DMS. I think so. That is the ultimate solution. I mean, that is something which is really required to get uh, more accuracy over the data. I mean, we see that, I mean, today we are getting orders from the market, but the fulfillment is something which is missing because we are not able to capture the data at a rural level. And hence, for that, I think so. Eventually, we will need to think about going with something like a mobile DMS. Today, we are at a stage where first we want to make sure that the web DMS which we are trying to implement amongst our first majority of our parties, we want to make sure that we first implement that. And our gradual step would be to ensure that we start mobile DMS so that there will be proper linkage from a retailer point to a distributor to company, and then there will be proper flow of data and information everywhere.
And I think adoption is one of the things that we have seen personally driven harder when it comes to a mobile DMS, right? Because you already have the device in your hand, you already have the application, right? It is much easier to use. I think the problem of logging onto a laptop and having that internet available everywhere, that becomes a challenge, right? So I think that is something that we
Yeah,
are.
I totally agree with you, Prakhar. So see, what happens is that, in specifically in rural areas, we know that, people are used to using the smartphone over using a computer or a laptop for that matter. And for a smartphone, you generally get better network versus, if you have a computer and then you need to plug in that cable and all that kind of thing. People just find it somehow a little bit difficult. It's not, but yeah, that is the perception, and hence people are, more easily adapting technology which is happening on mobile phone. Uh, I think so. When this whole DMS and SFA started, no one thought that such complex process could be converted into a mobile kind of a thing. So I think so. It's very interesting journey ahead for all the brands where mobile DMS is going to play a very crucial role in getting that accurate data across the system.
Brilliant. No, I think I 100% agree. What are your views on this, Gursimran sir? How is it working for DS Spiceco?
See, right now, India, we are not using this direct to retail to mobile. Point we are using the web-based DMS right now, and specifically for Grameen network, we are avoiding hiring manpower because we're giving in Grameen network we're giving a free hand to my big distributor. I give them opportunity to drive on their own. I incentivize them to do more and more sales. Like I provide margin in the billing itself, and I incentivize them to reach their targets. For example, there's one big RDS who covers around 40 odd villages in the remote area, and so I just basically incentivize RDS to hire his own employee and go all ahead and sell the products. And he has like multi-brands RDA with him, and he has much better opportunity to sell the complete basket in the if he are sending his own employee. So there I'm getting the like ROI, a win-win situation for both as me and both for that rural distributor. So I'm using that distributor for just using web-based DMS, so giving me the sales of my particular SKUs, whichever they are getting sold there.
So do you think in the near future, Gursimran sir, that influx and a pivot to a mobile DMS kind of solution would help adoption?
Absolutely. By day, if I've been able to, I've told you, if I'm getting more than 50,000 rupees of value from a beat, then of course I'll be making it to my direct reach, and will be sending our own people to that opportunity to grow it to more further big values. So definitely in future I will be using that.
Perfect, perfect. I'll just take a pause and ask any questions that we can take from our audience. I hope you guys are finding this session informative. So the panelists, if we can just choose some questions that have come in and we can ask those questions to our panelists. Please feel free to ask any of your questions in the chat. I'm talking to the audience right now. And do check out the form that we floated out. We'll be able to help you see where your distributors stand and how you can enable them using Bizom. So we do have a question here. What are the key ways in which implementing sales automation can drive business development and growth in our convenience stores or self-service store segment, specifically for an organization that has been saturated. Okay. So I think the question has to do more with driving business development and growth in the convenience stores and self-service store segments. And how does SFA help in those segments? Anandji or Gursimranji, if you want to just take that question.
Gursimran ji, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
See, thank you, Radhi. See, self-service outlets, let me be very honest. I'll say that they are more into urban territories of the world. I don't find any self-service outlet in the rural parts or in the villages till date.
100%.
Of course, they have reached to tier 2 cities like Indore, Bhopal, or Jalandhar, Ludhianas of the world now. And of course, in Delhi, the states like Delhi, Bombay, every second outlet is a self-service outlet. So focusing sales is there via technology is to provide, because these self-service outlets are all work for money. If you can give them a good margin for displays, because they have made self-service outlet not just to assist consumer, but of course to gain more and more money out of marketing budgets.
Of course.
Because this gives us opportunities to design our own shelf, our own category of the shelf. So you can spend a lot of money by focusing on your particular product there. And there are hell number of mediums available right now. Company like Garnier, I've seen they are using LCD screen in a self-service outlet to promote their products. So they have reached to that level of expenditure. So to me, a self-service outlet is a mall where people go, they have ample amount of opportunity or everything there in that particular shop, they select, and there you have to just convince that customer that which product he wants to select. And the only option you have is to either spend a promoter there, or you can do a good media visibility there. You can design a fancy shelf with a LED or with a LED screens or special light focus on your product. We have done n number of things. We have a special team for self-service outlet and they are specifically mentioned in Bizom, and where my sales officer uploads these kind of activities, because without uploading these pictures of these activities, I don't process their credit notes. So it gives me the surety. So technology gives me the surety that I'm spending that much amount of money on a thing which is there itself. And I have a picture of it. I have a proof of it. Earlier, without the technology, we didn't have these kind of proofs with us. Earlier, we just used to get a bill from the media team. Yeah, come on, we have spent this much amount of money. But where's the... Okay. So this technology is helping me to really getting me the proofs of what is happening. And my officer is visiting almost every week to that outlet, because they must get served in every week, because it's a self-service outlet. They are big outlets. So to our processes or our strategy, we must serve them every week. So every week they are uploading their pictures for each and every single activity we are doing there, be it by promoter, be it by anything. So that's how their technology is playing a very big role.
That's interesting. And I think there's another question that really builds on what you're saying. The last question that is on the chat. The self-service outlets have become more like modern trade outlets with their marketing demands and everything. So do you feel brands and SKUs will be restricted going forward? Only the best 2 or 3 brands in that category would be able to survive? Because in the end, it is all about how much marketing spend you do.
Who said? Even modern trade outlets, still the Reliance of the world, or even I've been to Lulu Mall Lucknow just last week. They are, you haven't even heard of. I bought this liquid detergent of a Kerala company, a very small company, a 50 crore company. It was giving me a huge discount there. And even these modern trade guys are using their own brands in each and every space. Be it masala or atas or rice of the world, they are making their own local brands. So there is no point that it's limited for the big people. It's like for the people who can give best product at the best price.
Perfect, perfect. Another, I think, last question we'll take from the audience, which is interesting. There's a question from Nigeria where it says, our business had difficulty succeeding with smaller pack sizes in Nigeria, both in the cities and rural markets. Any insight in the performance of economic packs in your markets? I think we already talked about this, about how the economic packs work. But is there a specific strategy that we follow when it comes to economy packs in urban and economy packs in rural? Is that there something that you want to shed some light, Gursimran sir or Anand sir?
Anand sir,
So,
that's your
uh,
expertise.
yes, I think so. I mean, when we talk about this value package, what we call them at times, uh, we just need to make sure that these packets are having reasonable amount of quantity, and the pricing at which it is given to a retailer has to be at par with what he is getting from other competitors in the market. If you are able to do that, then comparatively it makes sense. I mean, so uh, India itself, I mean, we know that every state, or rather, within the state also, every region, the requirements are different. So for a Nigerian market, I think so what would work is difficult to, gauge or speak about it. But yes, one thing is sure that, I mean, assumingly, if the trend of consumption is similar to what it is there in India, if there are value packs which are given at a reasonable price point with a reasonable margins compared to what they are getting for the other competition, and proper servicing, definitely. I mean, which is, I mean, either weekly or fortnightly visit, whatever is the brand planning to do. I think so. It's possible to crack those markets also.
Fair, fair. Thank you so much for that answer. Now I think I'm going to go to my own questions. Enough with the audience questions. I do have a question that I need both of you to talk about, right? One important thing that changes when we're trying to go and service rural markets is, I think, the challenge of multi-tier distribution, right? We do have to split our distribution channels from super sub distributors, redistributors, right? And how do you think that how do you see technology enabling that hybrid model of distribution across various parts of the country? And what are the key parts, or what are the key success criteria of that kind of model?
So, I mean, I'll start with this. So, I think so. I mean, depending on what stage of uh, business you're in that particular area, it depends on, how you want to have your distribution channel placed for it. I mean, probably you would want to, I mean, at certain places, company want to go from, have a C&F and then directly have distributor, where their reach is difficult, where they want to have the sub distributor in place. So depending on that, it really matters on, depending on the distribution channel for that particular company in that particular area. Everything depends on that. Technology, yes, definitely it is going to play more crucial role if there is a sub distributor which is involved in it. For example, I mean, the companies where there is a company mother depot followed by a super stockist, then a stockist, then a retailer, and then a consumer. So the points at which a product is moving are multiple. So it's very important that data is captured at each level accurately, so that the traceability is there and you're able to understand that, I mean, if a company is selling, let's say, 100 units to, let's say, a super stockist, how much has been liquidated to a stockist, and then from that stockist, how much has been liquidated at a retailer level. And after retailer ordering that particular product, has a stockist been able to fulfill that, or he will need stock from a super stockist. So I think so it's a very important thing, I mean.
Interesting. What are your views, Gursimran sir, about the multi-tiered hierarchy model and how technology has helped enable that? Gursimran sir, you're on mute.
Sorry. So I have a bit differentiate between multi-tier this system with technology. First of all, to me, India is a very big country with different palettes of taste. So North has a different palette of taste with the South or West of the world. So first you need to understand that whether your product is acceptable to that part or not. So where I have used Bizom technology to the max level to understand that whether this kind of products are acceptable to these areas or not. So there I've categorized and shortlisted my products. And as per the acceptance and the volume levels and the opportunity available in that particular area, depending upon the population strength of that area, there I've used technology, more of it. And when I'm getting good results, so there I'm using this multi-tier system, hierarchical system from super stockists to distributor to sub-distributors. As per the acceptability of my product, I'm using them. So if the huge acceptability, I have full-fledged super stockists, or even direct I'm sending to the distributor, places like Noida or Delhi. I'm not even using a super stockist. I'm focusing directly on to the distributor from my central warehouse. But the places like Oraiya, Pataras, with the outskirts of Kanpur or UP. So the Kanpur is my core strength. Now there I'm using sub-distributors with a different margin system to them to assist them to promote my products. And specific products, I'm not giving them a complete kitty to sell because an area like Patara, they won't use grinders. So I have a category of grinders. So it's a very niche category, a premium category used by urban people to have a fresh flavors of a black pepper or basil or rock salt. So that's whole point is to use technology to first us get the knowledge about that area and then use these systems, be it whichever, directly to super stockist, then to distributor or sub stockist, or wherever you can get the best margin. Yeah, at the end, I started with a conversation with that I see everything with the lens of cost. So there's a cost to the distribution at last. So where I'm getting the optimized cost to my distribution, I'm on it.
All right, great. Thank you so much for that answer, Gursimran sir. We do have some more questions. There is another question that I've gotten on the chat that I would like to ask, right? AI is all the new, the trend, right? Everybody wants to know more and use AI, and I think we have utilized AI to a certain extent in our offerings as well, right? So it is giving an auto mode for non-literate rural clients, right? So auto mode, what it means is that we are not doing all these activities through their input. We are doing things assuming how things are, right? So do you think that is also something that will continue happening? Is that the future of how deals will be done later on?
I think so. Obviously, I mean, I think so. AI is not the future; it's the present. I mean, what is AI? I mean, if try to put it in simple words, it's just helping you to. It's like better prediction. I mean, is what I would say. So, with the help.
Sorry, you went on mute, answer.
Hello, am I audible again?
Yes, we
Yes.
can hear you.
So, yeah, I mean, sorry. So, yeah, what I was saying is that AI is the future, and I think so. It is helping you to predict things better. So, we are going to see more of AI playing roles in every function of our life, I think so. And definitely, I mean, we are also seeing, I mean, uh, as simple as an example given by Gursimran ji, where, I mean, before going to an outlet, there is a predictive information given about what is the kind of order which might come from a particular outlet, seeing its past data and history. These are all, I mean, I think so, AI-led initiatives only.
Brilliant. What do you think, Gursimran sir?
Yeah, absolutely. Rathi has cleared it that AI is the present thing, not the future right now. And of course, for AI, you need a lot of back data to predict, to forecast, to give you some instances. So we have sufficient, I think, as a DS group, it's a very old group, and we have sufficient data, and it's a right time to use AI technology for a company like us. Using an AI technology is very beneficial if you have a very good historical data with you. And specifically with Bizom, we have a root level data of last 5 years. My distributor setups, my stock levels, which kinds of products I'm selling to my outlet base. So I think AI is the new generation to take decisions.
Perfect. I think that is helpful. Just one last question for both of you. I think then after that we will try to close the session. The one thing that I would want to understand, and would also our audience would also like to understand, is credit. How does credit in trade for rural? How does that work, right? How do you manage the cost to serve, considering the logistics cost is already high, right? So how does that credit availability or enablement work, and how is it different in rural than in urban?
Uh, Credit is a very subjective thing, is what I would say. I mean, so in the early days, we as an organization, we used to give credit to our super stockists and stockists, but eventually we realized that, the reason why we are having a distribution chain to support us is that they will be able to give credits in the market to the retailers, and we wanted to, pass on that burden of ours to them. Uh, so currently we are not doing any credits, but I think so when it comes to market requirement at a retailer level, a retailer needs to manage multiple SKUs, thousands of SKUs for that matter, in a very small shop. Hence, it's very important for him to get some amount of credit by which he's able to, stock different material, different inventories of various brands in his shop. Should a brand give credit to a retailer or not? I think so it's a very subjective call. There are very few brands who are, doing advance to retailer. There are very few retailers who are buying product in advance and or probably in cash. But if we are able to manage a way in which we are able to give a reasonable amount of credit period to a retailer, it's always good and helpful for him and also for the brand indirectly.
Right, right. Gursimran sir, any views on this? How do you think credit works differently for rural, and how is that happening? How is the cost being managed?
See, Rathiji said very well, credit is a very subjective term. And it's, I think, applies to both rural and urban. There's nothing different about credit. To me, credit is word credibility. Okay. So I'll say if you have credibility, like you have that what we call, if you go for a loan to a bank, okay, he looks for your CIBIL score. So that gives your credibility of returning it. So to us as a DS group, we look for the credibility of my distributors, of my retailers, or be it any trade partners with me. Okay, so we have people where we work in advance. We have people where we use around a good amount of credit with them also because they are very old business partners with us. So at the end, to me, it's the credibility of trust a very just appointed distributor and open him a good amount of so
I'm sorry, Gursimran, I think we're losing you.
our
Can you please repeat the last 30 seconds, sir? I think we lost you a little bit.
So I was saying about the credibility. So to all our trade partners or channel partners, be it a super stockist, be it distributor, or be a big time retailer. So everyone has to earn their credibility. So if a party is very old with me, having a good credibility with me, so I'm using a good amount of credit with him as per the business requirement, as per the numbers required for that particular area. So to me, credit is the credibility, and you have to earn for it. Everyone, being a single person, being a company, being a distributor, or any entity of this world. So you have a good credibility, you get a good money, you can use it for your business, and people are using it right now. So, and even banks give, you have a great CIBIL score. So banks are ready to give you money for your businesses if you are having a good credibility and a good business plan with you. So to me, even a rural distributor is getting a good credit from his bank itself. If he is expanding his business, if he's depositing money on time to the bank, or he's making timely payments to me, so even I'm extending my credit to him to, of course, go ahead and distribute in the market. So it's all about credibility to us.
That makes a lot of sense, Gursimran sir. Thank you so much for that. I think that does bring us to the end of the session. I would really like to, welcome and express my heart welcoming thanks to you, Anand sir and Gursimran sir, for joining us, finding time, and educating us and our audience about how to manage rural using technology. Post this session, we will be sharing the recording of the session. We'll also be sharing an ebook that is specifically talking about how do RTM solutions need to evolve to have better visibility of rural data. Please stay tuned for that. And Bizom as a RTM operational system is helping multiple brands, more than 600 brands in the world, solve their RTM problems and gain deeper visibility for their rural and urban markets. To know more about us, please scan the QR code and stay tuned for the report and the video of the recording. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Prakhar. Thank you,
Thank
Bathum.
you.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure sharing our thoughts with everyone. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Radhiji. You too. Have a good day.
And everyone
Yes,
joining us
sir.
online, thank you for joining.
Sure.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.